What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Between the Cons. My name is Kris. I am your fearless leader, and with me today, another guy named Kris Too.
In a world with two Krises,
only one can be just Kris.
That's correct. The other one must always be known as that other Kris.
No, not Kris, the other Kris. Oh, yeah. Proximity names. Anyways, thanks
Haunted my life.
all of you nice people. Thanks to all of you nice people for tuning into the show today, for listening up. We are going to talk about some trailers, as you probably gathered from the show's name today, which is The Good, the Bad, and the Spoilery. And really quick before we get into that, check out our social media accounts. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Between the Cons, at all of those sites or apps or however you socially mediate.
However you choose to interact with the world from the comfort of your bed and or toilet, check us out there.
Yeah. And then leave a review on the store, on the iTunes store, the Apple Podcast app. Review the show. It works wonders for podcasts. So do that if you haven't yet. We're going to talk about trailers. Kris came up with this idea. So if it's terrible, blame him. Kris Too, not Kris, the fearless leader. Kris Too. But we're going to talk about some kind of the evolution of movie trailers, or the de-evolution of movie trailers, however you want to look at it. So stick around. We'll be right back in Topic Thunder. Trailers, the good, the bad, and the spoilery. So we've seen like, even over the last 5 years, a huge shift in the way that movies are presented in the trailers. Mm-hmm. I mean, even it always blows my mind, like when I go back and look at like movies from the early 90s or even like the 80s.
Oh yeah, man.
And seeing the trailers for those movies, like, trailers have always been changing, like their general makeup.
There's always some trend of the time that just defines this is how we make trailers. Back in the 60s and 70s, you had where basically the voiceover guy gave the entire plot of the movie. Like, you go back and watch the trailer for like the original Carrie, and it gives you the entire plot, beginning to end.
He spoils all of it.
But that was just the trend, like because they would just say, come watch this movie where this girl is taunted by her friends, but they don't know that she has powers and she'll get back at them, and they show everything in the trailer, because because back then, I mean, movies, there weren't a lot of movies coming out, and there wasn't also a lot of competition out there. There was just kind of like one big movie happening at a time. So people were going to go see those things. Yeah. And
even like a couple of years ago, the big thing was like a super slow, minor key, looming trailer with a children's chorus.
Yeah.
Like, you giggle, but tell me I'm lying.
No, you're not lying. I mean,
it's 5 years ago, every trailer was like that.
It's a trend that we're still seeing, because it's very popular to take some popular song and do it in a minor key, either with a single singer or with a children's chorus. We saw it with Suicide Squad when they did that song, the
Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Oh, Avengers: Age of Ultron, yeah.
The song from Pinocchio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they do. It's a common trend, and so we see trends, and we're not bagging on trends, because it's perfectly normal for one movie
Pop
does it
culture
first.
Follows trends.
Yeah, one movie does it first, and it gets a lot of attention. People are like, ooh, that was a really cool trailer. And then everybody copies them. And that's the thing. We saw it. I'm going to talk about Inception later in this podcast, but we saw it with the trailer for Inception, and it had that repeating, they joke that it's a foghorn blast, but it's really just it's a brass section swell. And then we had, like, for the next 3 or 4 years, every trailer just had that wah. Yeah, everybody was doing it.
Yeah.
It made sense with Inception.
Looking at you, Christopher Nolan.
That was actually, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it made sense in Inception because that was actually a part of the soundscape that they were doing because of music slowing down as they were going deeper in dreams and whatever.
Right.
But it also effectively, or there's that one, oh gosh, there's that one song from Requiem for a Dream that like big swelling orchestra.
Yeah.
It's for any epic scene that you need, that song is used, and it's so cliched now. So we see trends in trailers, and that's it. Good thing, bad thing, I don't know. I mean, things are effective and people are going to copy them because pop culture comments on itself, and that's the postmodern world we live in. Right. But I brought up this topic because I got a beef with some of these trailers. And there are trailers that are specifically happening with big movies that, quite honestly, we're going to go see anyway. This is happening to movies that are big, movies that already have either sequels or follow-ups to already successful franchises. We're going to go see them anyway, and yet for some reason, it's like the dumbest people are editing these because they feel like they have to show us everything important to convince us to go see this movie.
Which, like, let's be real. You could put the logo for the next MCU film on a black screen for a minute and a half, and I'll go see that
Absolutely.
movie.
Yeah, I mean, literally when we go see Avengers Infinity War here in a few weeks, they could do one trailer for the next Avengers, which will be the culmination of, or the fallout from Infinity War, and all it could be is just Avengers, whatever the subtitle is, and that could be the only trailer we get until that movie comes out.
The climax and closure of 10 years worth of films, you could give us one trailer and we'll be like, yep, going to see it.
And yeah, nobody's not going to see that.
Right.
So this is the thing that baffles me, and I'm gonna bring. And so to mention these are some beefs that I have with the movie industry that I'm gonna say, hey, stop that. Roll up the newspaper and stop it. Smack you on the nose. A recent example: Thor Ragnarok. We talked about it on this podcast. We loved it
multiple times.
Yeah, we loved the movie. We enjoyed it. It was a great time. And I think I mentioned this actually in our review, but as much as I enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, as much as I loved it, as much as excited I was to see such a great movie and thoroughly enjoyed all aspects of it, there were parts of the movie that were a little soured for me purely because of the trailers.
Yep.
And the two big things that it did was, first, the fact that the trailers from the outset revealed that Hulk was in the movie.
Yep.
Now,
which we knew Hulk was going to be in the movie, but the context of Hulk being in the movie was the question mark.
Right. I mean, when they first announced, and we see the cast list and we see that Mark Ruffalo is going to be in Thor Ragnarok, and so immediately we're like, oh, well then Hulk's going to be in the movie. Maybe this. So and people started speculating: is it going to be Planet Hulk? Is it going to be that? Are we going to see Hulk in Gladiator Hulk in armor fighting? But we didn't know, and they didn't have to confirm that for us. Just the tease of knowing, ooh, Hulk's going to be in this movie, we think, is all I needed. And we have that. And when you watch it, it's Taika Waititi did such a great job filming that reveal in the movie where, Thor's out there and he's by himself. And then we have Jeff Goldblum doing, I give you your incredible. And then Hulk comes smashing through. It's an awesome reveal. It's a reveal of something we don't know, we don't see. And then that's how he filmed it. And then when they made the trailer, they decided, yes, let's put that reveal in the trailer.
Right.
And while it was real, I remember we talked about it when the trailer came out. When we saw that reveal, we were all like, ooh, that's so exciting. But that was a reaction we had in the privacy of our own homes, watching it on our computer or laptop or iPhone or whatever, as opposed to watching it with friends in the movie theater where that reveal could have happened, on opening night.
Yeah.
And it doesn't negate the fact that it is a cool scene. It doesn't negate the fact that it was a well-shot scene and a great reveal. But the trailer did rob us of that moment, of that reveal, of that excitement. The other one and then after that was revealed, I was like, even going into it, I was like, oh man, okay. Then it wasn't revealed until a later trailer, because this is the other thing with trends of trailers. We remember when we were kids in the 90s, you got one trailer for a movie.
Right.
You got one trailer
and you
for a
saw
movie.
it for 6 months.
Yeah, because they would way in advance. But you would watch the same trailer over and over again, and you're just like, and that's all you needed. Now we get teasers, we get teasers of teasers, we get teasers of trailers, we get multiple versions of trailers, we get the international versions. Which again, I'm gonna be perfectly. I'm gonna own up to my own guilt of I eat that stuff up, and I search it out every time there's a new trailer that drops for a movie I want to see. I search it out, I find it, and I'm gonna watch it. And I'm gonna pick it apart. I can't help myself. It's who I am. But still, in a later trailer for Thor, we had the moment of reveal where, when he sees Hela and he throws his hammer at her and she catches it and then crushes it.
Yeah, that was definitely blowing the load.
Yeah, because we were already excited for this movie. We were already going to see it. There was nothing going to stop us from that. And again, cool, powerful moment, but yet a moment that was still robbed from us because this is Thor's hammer. Thor is defined as his hammer. And they even make a joke about it in the movie. Taika Waititi's character, what's his name? The rock
Korg.
dude. Yeah, Korg. He even makes that joke of like, seems like you had a very personal relationship with this hammer. Almost like you lost a part of yourself. Like, it was a joke, but for Thor,
real though,
and then by extension, us as the fans, that is an emotional moment of
sure.
Oh my God, Thor's hammers. He lost his hammer.
Well, and
what's he gonna? But that was
to provide some context as well. Like, this isn't just a thing that happens like to us. I'll say, because how many comedies have come out where you left the theater and you said all the funny jokes were in the trailer. Like, I can give you the perfect example. I went and saw A Million Ways to Die in the West, which was Seth MacFarlane. Yeah. I thought it was, and I am one of the very few people that thinks that Seth MacFarlane's live action stuff is hilarious, because I think that his cartoon stuff is cheap. But I left the theater loving Million Ways to Die in the West. But like, there were so many good gags in the movie that were just completely ruined by the trailer. Like, they just didn't have that punch. Like, had the trailer not been so revealing with the gags, with the goose, the movie would have hit better in the theater.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I know everybody who's listening to this knows what we're talking about because we've all experienced this, to the point that now when you see a trailer for a comedy, you wonder, that made me laugh, but have I already seen everything? Do I really need to pay for a ticket?
Right.
Or have I seen everything I need to see? And I guess an opposite example of what you just mentioned, the movie that just the Jason Bateman movie that just came out, Game Night.
Yeah.
That was exactly how I felt when I saw the trailer. It was like, okay, I like Jason Bateman and I like some of these other actors, and this could be funny, but have I seen all the jokes? And Danielle and I went to go see it because we were honestly just looking for, there's no other movie out.
A reason to date.
Go see this. Yes, exactly. And we went to a matinee, so we didn't pay as much. We're like, okay, let's see if this is any good. And pleasantly surprised.
That's awesome.
That movie was not ruined by the trailer. There was so much more funny stuff, honestly funnier stuff, that was not in the trailers.
And one of the things about the trailer for Game Night is, at least that I remember, is there was one scene that took up like half the trailer. And it's when they have the guy tied up in the room and they have the gun and they shoot out the light and they're like, oh my God, that took up like 30 seconds of the trailer. So like, you're not getting as much. Like, sure, that might have softened that particular scene, but when you have so much like little quips in a trailer, it pulls away from the actual effect of that moment when it comes up on screen. Exactly. And it's almost like
you recognize the scene when you're watching the movie and you're almost waiting. Okay, here comes the joke. All right, I've already seen that joke. And then it's gone.
Yeah. And you mentioned before we started recording Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
And
God. that one wasn't even the trailer. The entire marketing campaign, even from the first poster, gave away that Colin Firth was going to be back. And understandably,
his character Galahad.
Right. Colin Firth is a big name. So, like, understandably, they would want an A-list actor, like, at the top of the bill. Sure, that makes sense. But, like, when the trailer dropped, like, when the poster came out, we were like, okay, cool, he's going to be back. What's the context? And it was fun to imagine the context because Kingsman, the first movie, The Secret Service, was based on The Secret Service by Mark Miller. So we had some context for what that was going to look like as far as a film, but we did not have that for the Golden Circle. So everything was up in the air, but we got so much Colin Firth in that trailer that it, like, when the movie came out, it was like the reveal of Colin Firth had no weight whatsoever.
No, and again, this is another example of a movie. This is a sequel to a movie that was wildly successful. That came out. That was one of those movies that, like, looked cool when we saw the first trailer for the first movie. Then we were like, okay, this might be good. And then we saw it, and we were not expecting it to be as good as it was. Yeah. So of course we're going to go see this next one. Yeah, they were already riding a big wave of goodwill,
and they had so many high, like, top of the list actors in the new one.
We had Jeff Bridges, and we had
Halle Berry.
We have Mark Strong. We have Halle Berry. We
Channing
have
Tatum.
Channing Tatum. Like, a lot of actors that you could have focused on, but the first trailer just showed the reveal, how he's revealed in the movie. But later trailers showed him in action, whole scenes of him in action. So we're like, okay, well, even in the movie when you're having this moment, and I guess spoiler alert if you haven't seen Golden Circle yet, in the movie when he's first shown, he
doesn't remember anything.
Brain damage, he doesn't remember. But I already know he's going to be in action because I've seen in the trailer him doing big action scenes.
Exactly. So when he has that moment and he comes back to it, like, yes, it is super emotional because there is a tiny dog involved.
Sure.
And I might have teared up a little bit in the theater. But like, the weight of him coming back around did not hit as hard because you knew he was coming back around.
Right.
And then you have things like Civil War. Mm-hmm. Like, to give a good example, Civil War. We know from the trailer Captain America and Iron Man are fighting. It's kind of the whole idea behind Civil War.
Yeah, so, there's no surprise going into it. Everybody knows that's the main conflict.
But the reason behind it being Bucky, when he was, like, recruited by Hydra and brainwashed, killing Tony Stark's parents, and, like, Cap wanting to stand up for him because he's not that man, and Tony kind of losing his cool because obviously
and also being framed for killing the King of Wakanda, all that stuff.
Right. So, like, there's so much there that, like, made the fight with Captain America, Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and Iron Man so much more powerful because we did not know what was happening. Like, we knew they were fighting, but, like,
nor did we need it. We didn't need them to lay out in the trailer, this happens, and now they're fighting. We just know that there's a conflict.
Well, and we knew that. I mean, the whole concept of the movie is it's in the title. The heroes
are divided.
Civil War. So, like, obviously the different members of the Avengers are going to take side and they're going to fight each other. So when we see that, and when we see, like, the airport tarmac scene where, like, they're all fighting and we see Captain America and Iron Man duking it out, like, we knew that was coming because the movie's called Civil War.
Well, even if I remember correctly, most of the marketing showed them on the tarmac, and we got some little quips here and there, and that's when we got in the trailer, we got the reveal of Spider-Man showing up, and that's all cool. But the trailer ends with them, like, all running at each other on the tarmac and then cuts to black. Like, it showed very little of that fight at the airport in the trailers, which was also great. We didn't know that we were getting Giant Man. We didn't know we were... So much of that stuff still got left to us, and that's good. It's good marketing, good trailer. And we had just mentioned in our last episode, we talked about the new Avengers Infinity War trailer, which gave us a lot to look at, a lot to chew on, but at the same time,
gave us nothing.
it's so much of it is so out of context. I don't feel spoiled for that movie at all. I'm hyped. I'm excited, but I don't remember.
Like, and actually, even the big scenes in the Avengers Infinity War trailer, like Doctor Strange with all the little needles, Thor having his head squished by Thanos, if that's even what's happening, if it's pressure or if he's like channeling the power of the cosmos into his brain or something. Like that statement that I just made is a perfect example. Like, Thanos' hand is on Thor's head and it hurts Thor. But, like, we don't know the context of that. We don't know that, like, he gets the final Infinity Stone and Thor's the closest one there and he, like, sucks his soul out or something. Like, we don't have that context because we don't need that context in a trailer.
We don't see a dead hero laying on the ground in any of these any of the trailers we've seen.
I love Marvel so much, but I swear to God, if you spoil who dies in that movie for me in a trailer, I will not go. I will not go to the theater. I will not go to the theater if I see who dies before it's over.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. It's like, I mean, because we live in a world where, like, and I know movies, like, there's been a lot of stuff where they've been the production companies are working hard to keep butts in the seats and keep people coming to the movies, and there's been struggles over the years, and the booming superhero genre has helped to bring people back and helped the industry, but they're still struggling to connect with the newer generations that we watch a lot of stuff online and we stream stuff, and I get that, and they're trying to come up with and so that means they have to do new marketing strategies.
Well,
but I don't
content
love this
gets
strategy
consumed so much.
So
that, like, I saw, and this is super terrible, but I'm going to say it anyways. I saw a post on Facebook today about a DJ in the Denver area that has, like, a pretty fair amount of rape accusations floating around him. And there was some dude in the comments that said, like, what is this? It was a Facebook post. It was like, what is this post going to do for anything? The internet's going to forget by the end of the day anyway. Which, first of all, so many problems. I have so many problems with that. But secondly, like, it's kind of it's a fair commentary about, like, this culture that we're in of not necessarily on this specific topic, but just in regards to the amount of content that we consume on a daily basis.
Sure.
It's so easily overwritten that, like, that's why we get so many trailers. That's why we get 4 trailers before a movie comes out, a teaser trailer, a few promo spots with, like, new character, like a minute of, like, learning a little bit about like one of the new characters. Like, that's why we get that stuff.
Absolutely,
because we consume so much,
and I understand. And that's exactly it. They're trying to keep their content in front of our eyeballs, so we don't forget that in 6 months you need to come to our movie, so we can, keep and that's a real concern. And I'm like, I do not envy the marketing guys that work for these studios, because it's a constant struggle for the attention of the world.
Well, and if Avengers Infinity War wasn't released originally slated to release on May 4th, May the 4th be with you, like, I would have never remembered the date that it was coming out. And then they moved it back a week, so that's easy. It's just May the 4th -7. So, like, that's it's still kind of easy for me to track. But, like, this is a movie that I have been looking forward to since my sophomore year of college. Like, this has been growing in me for a long time, and I still wouldn't have remembered what the date was,
because there's so much content. It's hard to keep track of everything. But I mean, there are other examples that we can throw out of movies that have done this. The upcoming Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Like, I legitimately forgot that was a movie until you just brought it up.
And honestly, I'm not super excited about it, because Jurassic World was fine.
It was
I'm not super excited about it.
An entertaining nostalgia bomb.
Yeah, but I'm watching this new trailer, and a lot of things are shown in the trailer that like, okay, like there's a scene where like a guy has our heroes at gunpoint, and then we see in the trailer a raptor jump from off screen and eat him. It's like, okay, so when this guy's threatening him, I'm not going to be scared because I know a raptor's going to get him.
Right.
So cool. Or
cool.
The movie had its own struggles anyway, but Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, the reveal that Doomsday was in the movie was a reveal that we did not need to be in the trailer.
No,
because it was something that they threw in there. Honestly, if nothing else, it revealed the studio's lack of faith in the movie because of what all the stuff surround. And so they were like, they undoubtedly threw that in there. Be like, oh, by the way, don't forget, Doomsday's in this movie too. It's like, oh.
I jotted this down as a mental note, but I forgot to bring it up until right now. So we'll talk about this really quick. One other thing that I don't like about the trailer trends, mainly to do with the quantity that we're getting, is it forces studios to push trailers out really fast.
Yes.
So we get things like Justice League, where Steppenwolf looks like hot garbage. And then we get things like the Avengers Infinity War teaser trailer, where Thanos looks
really weird.
Looks pink. I mean, he definitely looks the right shade now, so thank you.
Yeah.
But that first trailer, like, there were memes galore for that first trailer.
The thing is, we being regular consumers of media, and also, I mean, I'm not saying like we're not in the know on the business, but we read enough from people that work behind the scenes to know that we get trailers, and a lot of times the CGI is just good enough it's deemed worthy enough for the public to see, but not yet finished. And we know that, but I shouldn't have to watch a trailer and then immediately apologize for it.
Like, it's fine if I watch it on my phone in portrait mode.
Yeah.
But anything bigger than like an inch and a half by 2 inches wide, it's not looking good. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah. And again, like you said, like, and I mean, the reality when studios are having to push out so many trailers, 4 trailers and teasers and all that, as opposed to 1 trailer that we used to get, that just means that's more content that they're showing. Yeah, they'll show a lot of the same stuff, but if we don't get anything new in a new trailer, then we'll be like, why am I even watching this? So right. I get there's that struggle there, but there are definitely some recent examples just in the last year of some other trailers that did an amazing job. I think the one that stands out to me the most from last year was the trailers for Logan.
Yes.
Like, that whole marketing campaign was brilliantly done. They really knew what they were doing, and the big trailer, and everyone knows what I mean when I say the big trailer, because it's the trailer with Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt.
Yeah,
was
the trailer
was perfect. That trailer encapsulated the tone of this movie that I'm going to see. Encapsulates in many ways the theme of what I'm gonna get, and it showed me just enough. And you go now, having watched Logan, go back and watch that trailer, guys. And that trailer in and of itself deserves an award.
Piece of work. Yeah.
Yeah. And we mentioned Christopher Nolan earlier, and this is something that I know just because I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan. He's one of the few directors that actually takes a personal hand in the trailers for his movies. Most directors don't really have a hand in their trailers. Somebody else on their team is a part of that. Like we mentioned, Matthew Vaughn fought against the studio when they were revealing stuff about Colin Firth for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. He did not want that, but he did not have control over the trailers. It's not a part of his contract. Christopher Nolan does have control over his trailers, and you can go back and watch, like, the first major trailer for Dark Knight is exquisite. It like, we get some of the Joker voiceover in it, and then we get like that first shot of Joker in action in the interrogation room, and it just so perfectly sums it up. Or I mentioned Inception. I remember when Inception got announced, because I was really excited, like, oh, this is his big movie that he did after Dark Knight. You go back and watch that first trailer, it doesn't reveal a single thing about what this movie is about.
Right.
I remember watching that trailer. I was like, there's some really cool shots of the buildings folding and the top spinning and Joseph Gordon-Levitt walking on walls as the room spins. But I have no context for what this is. I had no idea that it was about dreams. Nothing in the trailer says that it's about dreams. Some of the later trailers like mention dreams, but you know what it means because you've seen the movie now.
Right.
But you go back and watch that trailer, and it gives you so much and yet gives you so little. And that's what a good trailer should be. And I mentioned Nolan because I think he's exceptionally good at this, but I think we've mentioned some of these other recent trailers that also do this well. Blade Runner 2049 was another one that those trailers built the hype.
Captivated without giving a single thing away.
And that, I think, is the golden zone of what a trailer should be, what you just said. Captivates without spoiling. It makes you want to see. It entices the mind. Visuals.
Even the trailer for Blade Runner, like, I didn't even know what that movie was about going into it. Like, it was kind of like you were saying about Inception. Like, when I went into Blade Runner 2049, I went into Blade Runner 2049 because I like Blade Runner.
Right.
But, like, I had no idea what was about to happen in my life when I walked into that theater.
But you were excited for it, not just because you were a Blade Runner fan, but because the trailers made it look really good.
Oh, absolutely. And
it's now won Academy Awards for its editing and visual effects and things like that.
It's pure excellence.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. And that's, I think, ultimately what I have to say is that we live in a world now where we have all these trailers and we're inundated and buried under so much marketing for movies, and I shouldn't really complain because, oh no, they're making multi-million-dollar movies of the things I love. No complaint there, but studios don't have to give everything away. You can still leave the bulk of the plot, especially the emotion, those powerful emotional moments. Leave them unknown. Make us want to know what happens to our characters, because it can be done well. It can be done right. And we don't need you to give away crap because if your movie's good, I will come see it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if I didn't see Tomb Raider, and I have no idea if the Tomb Raider trailers give everything away or not.
So I totally dropped the ball on Tomb Raider. I really, really, really wanted to see Tomb Raider because it actually looks good. And I realized on my way to work on last Monday morning,
that we hadn't done a roundtable.
Well, because I drive by right off the interstate on my drive to work. There's a movie theater, and they have one of the big red LED signs, and it had the Tomb Raider logo up, and I was like, oh no. Because I was out of town the Wednesday through Friday previous, and usually I'll see the logo on like Thursday or Friday morning on my way to work and be like, oh yeah, we gotta go see that movie this weekend. But I didn't have that opportunity for Tomb Raider, and I just straight up forgot. So I apologize to all of our listeners for not doing a roundtable on Tomb Raider. It was totally planned. I know Dane was going to see it as well, being our gamer boy. But
so I have no idea if the trailer for Tomb Raider ruined it. But so when it comes to movies that I'm not like as hyped for, I get, or if the studios know that they're having to kind of fight an uphill battle to get us to come see things, okay, maybe I can see the impulse.
I'll be a little bit more lenient, but I still will not be accepting.
Yeah. But some of these bigger movies, these great movies that give everything away, don't do that. Stop that. I don't want you to. Again, Marvel could give us just a title card for the fourth Avengers movie, and that's all we.
Yeah, and we're there.
And we're there. We're in for it.
Give us a line of Thanos dialogue over just a title card for a minute, for a minute and a half, and we'll go.
That would actually be a pretty ballsy move. If they actually did that, if they just ended Infinity War with, "You're gonna come see the next one," and that's it.
Just with the release date.
Yep.
Like, the Avengers will return on
this
date. And then, like, there's nothing until a week before it comes out. And there's
to remind you,
there's a trailer that's just a title card with a single line of Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
I would see it. I would still see it.
Like, as much as again, I can't help myself. I would froth at the mouth and just wait for any footage of that movie. If they did that, I would not be mad. I would honestly be impressed if they did that, because they know that we're going to come see it, so they don't have to. They can be withholding, and we will beg and plead, and they can still withhold until the movie actually comes out, and wouldn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, and we still don't know what Avengers 4 is called.
Yeah, we don't have a title.
Well, because it's a spoiler for Infinity War.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like 2 weeks after Infinity War comes out, we'll get the title for Avengers 4. But because it is a spoiler for that movie, it's Avengers 4 for now.
So that's all I had to say about it. So
yeah, and let us know, people of the internet. Let us know your thoughts on
any other
trailers we missed.
Any other trailers you've seen that ruined the movie for you or spoiled something for you, or trailers that you're just like, man, this trailer deserves its own award because it is perfect.
The Between the Cons trailer Hall of Fame. That sounds so white trash. But let us know. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're going to talk about some jams really quick. So sit tight. Let's do this thing.
What's your jam?
All right, Chris. What you jamming on?
All right. I got 2 jams because my last jam is a holdover from that time we were supposed to record, but we didn't.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, so I just held on to it.
Another time that I traveled, and that time I forgot to tell Chris. And
be nice to him, guys. This is not his full-time job. It'd be great if it was.
It would be super great if it was.
But yeah. So my first jam is my more recent one. I talked to you about it before we started recording. I'm performing in a local production of Mel Brooks's musical Young Frankenstein,
which is so great,
as Frederick Frankenstein, which I'm super excited about because for I guess regular listeners, they know that I'm a theater person. I direct and I act, but I don't do a lot, and I teach.
I teach
and I fight direct and I do all kinds of stuff. I don't do a lot of musicals because I love musicals, but I'm not the strongest. I'm not the strongest singer. I'm not the strongest dancer. Like, I sing, but I'm not Peter Lake.
Peter Lake is a friend of ours that has the voice of 1,000 angels.
Yes.
Anyways, carry on.
And anyway, but Young Frankenstein is. I love Mel Brooks's humor. I love the producers. I love the original Young Frankenstein. I love Blazing Saddles. It's hilarious. And also it's
fantastic things we'll do.
Be like old times, you and me. But
that's a quote from Young Frankenstein from right before my favorite song in Young Frankenstein.
when Frankenstein and Igor sing together again. But it's also one of the few musicals where the lead is a baritone, because most leads in musicals are tenors, and I'm not a tenor. So it was just kind of a perfect confluence of events, and I went out and auditioned. I'm doing it. I'm working on it. I'm having a blast doing it because, it's great to do Mel Brooks humor and to sing silly songs about bringing monsters back to life and stuff like that. So that's my first jam. It's just lots of fun, just something I'm personally doing. So I guess if you're in the Meridian, Mississippi area, for one, I'm sorry.
All one of you?
Yeah, but come
Danielle
on, at Meridian Little Theater. Yeah, hey honey, I'll Facebook message you, and the information you can come, because apparently that's the thing we do on this podcast now is we talk to our wives over the podcast and send them messages rather than talk to them.
That is what we do.
So that's my first jam. My other jam is the one from that I was going to do last time. Love board games, talked about board games plenty, and the most recent board game that my wife and I have gotten into with some friends of ours is Pandemic Legacy. Pandemic is already one of my favorite games. It's a cooperative game by Matt Leacock, where everybody's working together against the game, and you're trying to cure diseases before they spread across the world and kill everybody. And it's just a beautifully designed, perfectly made game. There's been many expansions to the base game. There's many different versions of it. Pandemic Iberia is set in 1800 Spain, and it's probably my favorite version of the game. But now they've released, and by now I mean like a couple of years ago, they released Pandemic Legacy, which is you play the game still cooperatively. You're still all working together against the game, but every game that you play has permanent consequences for the next game you play. When you play, you mark up the board, you put stickers on the board, you tear up cards, if you fail,
that's awesome.
Yeah, if you fail one, and it's laid out over 12 months, over a year, and you get to play every month twice, or you can play every month up to 2 times. If you fail the first time in January, you play January again. If you fail the second time in January, you get some consequences and you move on to February. And they have a deck that is, you work your way through the deck, and the deck will has cards in it that says stop until you finished a month. And then once you finished a month, you can turn over that card. It reveals new things. There are boxes in the game box that at certain points you open, and it gives you new markers or new characters or stickers to mark up your board. If you cure a disease, you can change the effect of the disease and either make it harder to beat or make it easier to beat for future times. So it's really, really great. The legacy system is a system that has been slowly growing in popularity in the board game community, and they're slowly making games that do this thing of games that have consequences. A previous game leads to the next, and also it basically means Danielle and I and our friends are playing a game of Pandemic Legacy. When we're done with the game, it will have a completely different look than if you and some of your friends played the game. By the end of the game, your board will have a completely different look from ours.
Which is so awesome.
Yeah, and it's initially I was very hesitant. I was like, wait a minute, because like I said, you play over 12 months, maximum two plays per month. So this game has a maximum limit of 24 plays in it, and then you can't play it anymore. It's done. Cards are torn up. The board is all marked.
Which, for the record, guys, Kris has at least 50 to 75 board games. So
yes.
Spending money on a board game that is only getting 24 uses that essentially is going to have to get thrown away in a year is not an easy thing for Mr. Cuss to do.
Yeah, and I was very hesitant about it, but then our friends that talked to us were they said, no, we should let's do it. And I said, okay, and we went on it together, and we played the first few months, and we're like, this is amazing. Because there are consequences, I'm so invested in the choices that we make. Our choices have weight to them, and I'm sure there are some people that after they're done they throw it away. I'm going to mount that when we're done. I'm mounting that board in a shadow box or something that's hanging on my wall when we're done, because that's gonna become art for my board game room, because it's now going to be something that we can look at and look at that awesome game we played and that cool thing. So, and now there's a Pandemic Legacy Season 2, which is a completely new game that again is the legacy system, but with new stuff happening in it. We'll see after this Season 1 if we go for that or if we go for something else. But yeah, guys, I love board games. I already love Pandemic. I highly recommend that you check out Pandemic. But if you like it, and if you've got some friends that you can play regularly with, that will you can guarantee will come back and play the game with you again.
Right.
Check out Pandemic Legacy Season 1. It is
and go
dope.
splitsies. Go splitsies.
Yeah. We end up spending something like $25-$30 a piece on it. So it was worth it. So that's my jam. Now, Kris.
Yes.
What is your jam?
So my jam is really silly, and it's pretty short. My jam has been all of the subliminal nerd stuff that I do, just for myself, and like I'm starting to see how it's like impacting other people, and it's really fun for me. So like I have on my left forearm, I have a great sword tattoo, but the blade is 6 polyhedral dice.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And it's my D&D tattoo. Michael Ann and I got it together. She got it on the back of her, like on her tricep. I got it down my forearm, both on the left side. And it was just kind of one of those things that we did because we're both nerds and we love each other. So we got nerdy tattoos. But I was recently at an event for work, and because it's a little bit colder, I don't like, if I roll my sleeves up, it's usually just like a single roll of one roll of the cuff. Mm-hmm. So the handle of the greatsword is like about an inch down from my elbow. So a single cuff roll is only showing like the D4 and the D6. So people will see it and be like, do you have like a geometrical tattoo? And I love that because I'm like, yeah, kind of. And I'll just like pull my sleeve the rest of the way down and show it to them. And they're like, oh, is it a sword? Yeah, it's a sword. It's a D&D tattoo. So I'm a dungeon master for all my friends when we get together and play. And like, I'll go on this like nerdy rant about Dungeons and Dragons. And that's like a lot of fun for me. And then another thing is, another work-related thing. Part of my job is I manage a point of sale, an iPad point of sale that we take to different trade shows and like sell product to our customers that we would sell on their website, but like at reduced pricing. So a part of that is we have 5 iPads. So one of the things that I recently did is to kind of keep track of them a little bit better, because they were all labeled Kris's iPad. I went through and I renamed them Bobby, Gene, Hank, Scott, and Warren. Which, for those of you that didn't put that together as Kris just now, those are the original Uncanny X-Men. So Scott Summers, Cyclops, Hank McCoy, Beast, Jean Grey, Warren Worthington is Angel, and Bobby Drake is Iceman. So I named them. I just named them that because it's something that I would know, and I know those 5 names off the top of my head. So like, they're 5 names that are grouping in my mind. And if I ever see one missing, I can go, okay, so I've got Bobby, Gene, Hank, and Scott. Okay, Warren's missing. So like, I just know that. But someone called me out on it because on the screen, like on the lock screen for all these iPads, I made just a background image that has the name on it. So like, we would know just by like tapping the button which one's which. And I also named them like in the settings. So on like Find My iPad, they all show up with their names. So someone called me out on it when we were doing one of these shows and was like, why did you name these Hank, Bobby, and Warren? Because those were the 3 that we had at this event. And I was like, oh, well, it's just we have 5 of them, and the 5 names, like they're really common to me. And they're like, were they like your childhood best friends or like what? And
sort of.
In my head, I was like, please don't ask me any more questions about this. and I was like, well, yeah, kind of. They were names that were belonging to people that I grew up with. And they were like, oh, so like middle school friends? And I was like, oh my God. And finally, I was just
Stop asking.
I was like, okay, it's the original 5 members of the Uncanny X-Men. Does that make you feel better? Are you happy now?
I'm a big nerd.
But this lady thought it was so funny that she sent a group text to me and like a couple other people that we work with, as well as my boss. And it was like, did you guys know that Kris named all of the iPads after the X-Men? And the first person to respond was my boss. And he said, I did not realize that, but I encourage it 100%. So it's just like little things that I do. Like in that particular instance, like the first 5 names that I would be able to remember consistently that popped into my head were the Uncanny X-Men. And then like having a Dungeons and Dragons tattoo or like a polyhedral dice tattoo that like is commonly like it's in a very visible location and it's on the opposite arm of the New Avengers Illuminati tattoo that I have. So it's like Iron Man on one wrist and like a D4 and a D6 on the other wrist. And it's just like the kind of thing where like I wear my nerd colors so proudly. And a lot of times like I don't even mean to. And that is my jam.
We just can't get away from it.
It just can't. It's just so funny. Like I even laughed at myself like after I was like halfway through setting up the iPads. Like I'm naming these after the X-Men. And like it came to my head, and in my head it was like a perfectly logical train of thought. It wasn't like getting excited about naming them after X-Men. It was like, yeah, I'm totally going to remember these 5 names. Like this is super easy. One of them is the rose gold color, so that works perfectly for Jean Grey and like all this stuff. And like I was explaining it away so easily using logic that made sense to me that like when I stopped to think about it, it was just ridiculous. But that is my jam. My nerdery that is so deeply rooted that it is now like second nature logic.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's my jam. And that is the end of the show.
That's it, guys.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Check us out on the internet at betweenthecons.com. You can link out to all of our social media sites from there. You can stream the episodes online. You do all sorts of fun stuff there. If you want to support the show, check out Patreon, Satchel, or Amazon. You can find the links for those at the bottom of our site. If you like our theme music, Afixa is where you need to go. He's got some dope dubstep at betweenthecons.com/bandcamp. And then make sure you guys tune in on Thursday. We are going to be back. We're going to be hitting some headlines. We're going to be filling you in on all the latest and greatest nerdy news in Pineapple. So you guys have a great week. Tune in on Thursday, and we will talk to you then.
Bye, guys. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say about it.